Hello, Blender Beast. Blender Beast. Okay, here we are. We're going to make our first lesson for our Blender Beast. I wanted to show you how cute these were. They're like so adorable. And I am in solid mode. And if you want to go to solid mode, you just click Z on the keyboard. And then you can click solid, material, wireframe, or rendered. So I'm going to go back to material view. And I wanted you to see the beasts and how cool they are. Okay, each beast was made with, if you want to see up close, hit the period on your numpad. It'll zoom in on your keyboard. And you can scroll to zoom, scroll your mouse, or you can go view, and then you can say frames selected. Like, I think if I was out like this and I have this ear selected, I can say view, frame selected, and that'll zoom me right in to the ear. So you can see I selected the ear, but the keyboard shortcut for that is the period, and it's the period on the numpad, not the period. Okay, so all the parts here were made, all the characters here were made with one part. I thought it would be fun to do something like this for practice on all the fun, easy things to do, or important, easy things to do, for all the little things that you can practice and memorize and take note of. So in this class, we're going to just start with making the head, the one body part that's the head and the legs and the feet. And what I did was, I'll just show you how we start. I'm going to move these objects, they're both objects, over. And right here in the middle of my 3D space is my cursor. And that's that red and white little dotted thing. You can find it up here on the left in this menu. If you hit T on your keyboard, you can hide it. Or you can just click, scroll, and drag it out. Like that. And then you can see the words too, so you can memorize. You can memorize these. I'm in object mode, and I am going to go ahead and drag that back, and the T will hide the menu, and you'll see the little tiny arrow right there. Okay, so this is the selection, the select box that you want to use to select things. And then this is the move tool, and it has the arrows right here. You can grab a hold of your objects and move your objects. And then, so the first thing that I want to do here and show you how to do now is that cursor right there is in the center of the 3D space. See, there's the red and the green, which is the Y axis and the X. So the X goes back and forward, and the green Y goes left and right. And then if we come up here under the viewport overlays, which is this little circle over a little dot, that's the overlays. And I'm always turning this off and on. So get used to that. And then that's the drop down area, arrow, little tiny arrow right next to it. And if I want to turn the Z on, so X, Y, and Z, so I just turn the blue Z axis on. Okay, and that's the colors you can see with your, right here, with your little guy or your object. so you can move it around. And the keyboard shortcut to move that is G. So if I hit G on the keyboard, if it's selected and I hit G, I can grab it and let go of G and just move it around. And then click to position it. So G for grab or move. Okay, so I'm going to grab this guy and move him over here. Just move him out of the way. These guys are our cheerleaders. They're going to watch us work. And you can also click the X, Y up here in the corner here to turn your view, to rotate your view. And click and drag like this on it. Or if you want, you can hit Alt on the keyboard and then click Alt. You can let go of the Alt key. You don't have to hold it down, and then just move your mouse. And then if you ever get lost away from everything, hit home on the home. Hit home. And also hit, if you don't have anything selected, you can say select all. So if this was out here like this and nothing was selected, I think you can hit home on the keyboard and that should bring you home. And if not, you can always say view or select and then select all. And that will select everything. And then you can hit home, or you can hit the period key to zoom in. So that's important, navigating around like that. Now we are in object mode, and we're going to be going back and forth from object mode to edit mode. So object mode to edit mode. Object mode is where we spend a lot of time and then we edit things. So for now, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to add just a cube. So I'm going to go add mesh cube. There's the cube. And I'm going to pull it up a little. I'm going to grab the Z or the Z axis, pull it up, and you can also hit Z on the keyboard. I think, right. Oh, first G, then Z, and it'll move it on the Z. And then same with G, and then hit the X to move it forward and backward on the X axis. And then you can also hit G for move, grab, and then hit Y, and then move your mouse. And then you can right click to position that back in its spot. Okay, so right now it's important to write this down. So on your keyboard, Shift S, and you get this menu. You have to practice this, Shift S. And see, it says selection to cursor. Well, where's our cursor? Our cursor's right here. And one of the shortcuts to get the to the cursor without moving off of the select box is just hit Shift and right click on something. And that will bring your cursor where you want it. And then Shift S to tell your cursor where your selection to go to your cursor, or your cursor to go to your selection. But for now, we're going to tell our cursor to world origin. Okay, let's try that again. Let's see. How come that's not working? Okay, let's try that again. So selection, cursor to world origin. There we go. Sometimes you got to do it over and over. Sometimes it's just a little touchy. So now you see right there at the very center of the world origin, that's the world origin is basically our 3D space that we're in. And that is the very center right there. So Shift S will world origin. And then once we place our cursor somewhere, now we can select our box, our cube, and hit Shift S and say selection to cursor. And then it'll move that there. And then we can always get on our move tool and then move it to where we want it. So here we go. Okay, and I'm also clicking on my gizmo rotation tool. So okay, what we're going to do now is you can practice those things, and then I'll continue to share about what other little important things we need to learn. So what we're going to do with this cube is we're going to select it, and then what we can do is we can add a modifier. And this is where you want to be really careful. Warning. Warning! We're going to add a subdivision modifier to this cube to give it more faces, more vertices to work with, to model with. But we want to be careful so we don't crash our computer to get too many. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go to our properties menu, and we're going to come down here to the wrench modifiers, this little blue wrench, and then we're going to say new. Whoops, I'm on material. That was a mistake. I didn't click on it. I just talked about it. Ha ha ha. Add modifier, and then generate subdivision surface. And we just added it, and it automatically added one subdivision to our cube. Now, I'm going to delete it and tell you what the shortcut is, and you can write this down. So you can select your cube, hit Control 3 or 2. If I do Control Z to edit and undo that, or you can hit Command if it's on a Mac. Command Z, edit, undo, or Command select the object. Command 2 is going to add 2. It's automatically going to put the modifier on. So, and then you can add. I usually never go higher than 3. So, in this case, what I did do was I added, I think, 2 on the modifier for the bear. And then if we come up here, we can go to edit mode or hit tab into edit mode, tab. And this is all I really did, I think, was super simple. We tabbed into edit mode, and then we're going to add one loop cut. So now to do a loop cut, we can just go edge, loop cut, and slide. See? And there's the shortcut, which is what I normally do, Control R. And I just did another little tutorial to go in with our Blender Beast Gumdrop bullet characters and creations. So Control R, and you can see if I hold my cursor and I move it over, it shows my cut to be there or this way. And I want it to be right in the center, so I'm going to click down, and then I'm going to move my mouse and slide it up. But in this case, just slide it down. Almost to the bottom, not quite all the way. And then click down once, and then click off to the side. And there. That did it. So I can see over here my subdivision modifier right there that I have 2 on still. That's 0, nothing, 1, and then 2. And now with this, I'm going to go ahead and add it or apply it. So we're basically applying the subdivision, because in edit mode, we'd still only have, this many vertices to work with. And also we can click on cage so that the cage wraps around it right here, over here in subdivision. This first little icon, on cage. See, off, it's up. Usually it's off when you add it, I think, when you first add the subdivision modifier. Then you can click it and then you can see it. So this is kind of nice to leave it this way for editing. You can move it like this. It makes it nice for animation. Boom, 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 doo, doo, doo. Okay, so we only have 2 to control there. And I think that the second one is the display modifier in edit mode. And then you can play with it. I just clicked on optimal display. So anyways, I'm going to edit and do that. You can play with the subdivision modifier, but I'm going to apply it. But I have to go to out of edit mode, click tab, and I'm going to go right here. See, I have apply on the subdivision modifier, but if I tab back into edit mode, we don't have the option. It's blacked out there. So you have to be in object mode to add that. So there's our little gumdrop. And we're going to apply the modifier. There. Now, this is so cool. So fun. Now we can tab into edit mode, and we have all of these options to edit. So we're going to do that in the next lesson. We're going to go to back out to object mode, and I'm going to right click shade smooth, and that's going to smooth out our little gumdrop. And basically that's all that I did with this cute little class that we're doing, is just made a gumdrop. And I did quite a few other things. I made the material, which I'll go into that in the next lesson, so that you can paint. And then I have the lighting set on up here. If you go to the very top, right in object mode, and you can be in either, if I hit Z, you can be in solid, material mode, rendered mode, or wireframe, which is set dark right now. But so in material preview, right up here at the top is this little tiny shading, and I have this viewport shader on if you want to get these colors. So you click this circle right here, and these are called studio lights. And I think there's this one. I might have added a couple. You may only have a few of these up here to choose, but you can play with that. And then I set that up for my lighting, and then we'll work on materials later. So have fun, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Woohoo!